Hi, I'm Warren Jr. of JR Cycle Products as well as the PCI Group. I do quite a few things around here, one being motorcycles, as well as sweep the floor, sell, I build stuff. I was literally raised in a motorcycle shop. When I was born, my dad opened up Warren's Cycle in Round Lake, Illinois. I was literally a kid hanging in the door frame in his bouncy seat watching Dad wrench on bikes.
Once he got his hands dirty working on it, it's hard to explain, but it gets under your skin.
I first messed around with a motorcycle. It was a lawnmower bike, a Briggs & Stratton. I got tired of waiting for Dad to come over and run the welder, so I picked it up and started going. That snowballed into me building full-out bikes. The first bike I ever had any kind of success with, I took it to a place called Alligator Bob's. Colleen was shooting, rolled it up there. She took photos, we hit it off. The next thing I know, I'm in Sturgis with Colleen and the crew and basically becoming one of the family. I started building bikes and I was influenced by the likes of Jesse James on Discovery Channel with the, his whole motorcycle mania thing, and Arlen Ness, and like I said, I was raised in the bike shop. I'm currently now really interested in panhead, shovelhead, knucklehead, vintage chopper, 60s and 70s period bikes. I think that stems from growing up in the shop. My dad, I have photo albums of him and his buddies riding rigid bikes across the country, and I think that was instilled in me since birth. It's kind of corny, but it's the truth. It's since become a resurgence, and people are all about it. It's really kind of cool. It's really stepped my game up because I have competitors now, and it's in the limelight. I'm having a lot of good and positive reactions. I've been on the cover of 2 magazines in the last 2 months. It's really kind of cool, and I'm getting into it. But yeah, the vintage bike scene is here and probably going to stay. I have quite a few projects going, from facelifts, changing out front ends to alter the bike's physical characteristics, or ground up builds. I was invited by Mike and the guys at Born Free for the Born Free Chopper Show. I'm an invited builder, so I have a 51 pan on the lift that is currently in progress. I have 2 or 3 others, a 58 pan head that'll be in a rigid, just a little, build to sell period bike that everybody likes. We have the knucklehead behind me that I just finished, the 44, and I'm always hunting and pecking and searching for any kind of parts or motors or titles or whatever. That stuff is precious and needs to stay alive and stay in circulation. Many other countries, Japan's probably one of the largest, they are seriously invested and interested in old iron, specifically Harley Davidsons. They have been buying up anything and everything that they can get their hands on for the last 30 years. We're losing a lot of the old parts, which isn't that bad in my eyes, because those guys eat, breathe, sleep, drink vintage motorcycles, and they're really stepping it up, and they're setting the bar for everybody in the industry. Everybody's got a spotlight on Japan, and one of my ultimate goals is to be invited to the Moon Eyes show and be in the spotlight. I want to ride my motorcycle into that event and do a wheelie and crash it and just walk away from it and freak everybody out. I work with PCI too. It's not just motorcycles, it's anything and everything that I can build with my hands, and motorcycles just comes natural, and that's where I end up. I have JR Cycle Products, it's my parts line. I have triple trees and spool hubs, and Ben's building handlebars and kicker pedals and pegs, and it's all that vintage feel, but with my little twist on it, because the whole point of me being involved and having that namesake is to make my stamp on the industry. I want kids 30 years from now grabbing my parts, and it's on eBay for $1,000 because there's only a few laying around and they know where it came from. Kind of a fad deal, and like I said, I just want to make my mark on the industry. Today we're shooting Jim Didier's panhead. It's a 1953 FL. I found a bike, a donor bike. It was beautiful, motors, and it was pristine, best case I've ever seen, along with the frame. I found a knuckle springer a couple weeks later and started collecting parts. I put a sprung sole up there that Rich Phillips covered for me, along with the leather bag. He created that. Using a Watzel fender for the rear, which I cut and made it fit proper. Handmade the sissy bar, the tail light, the mufflers. The tanks were original. I had my buddy Kendall paint them. The Springer I disassembled and repowder coated. We put aftermarket V-twin handlebars on it, which I narrowed. Gave them a starter. Those bikes usually didn't have starters back in the day. Enclosed primary and rocker clutch, hand shift. It really shows that when you put the time and effort into something and go all the way and touch every piece, what it turns into and what you end up with. If you want to find out more about me, I have a website, it's jrcycleproducts.com, as well as a blog, which is www.jrcycleproducts.blogspot.com.